was born in Los Angeles, California, and my dad was working with one of the major newspapers at that time because he was a World War II veteran. He had been with the Air Force doing newspapers for them over in Europe. And of course, Mom didn't have to work, but she did have to take care of us. And then when they started building highways and they decided that they were going to have a freeway in California, in Los Angeles, and there was going to be an on-ramp where our house was. So we sold our house and we moved to Alhambra. And that's where I was going to school, was in Alhambra, California, until high school. And then Mom and Dad moved to San Marino, and I was still at San Gabriel High School. So that was part of me growing up there. And of course I have the one little thing where my dad was on Gunsmoke TV and I was on Death Valley Days. And just because they were such nice people to be with and work with, that they had us get on TV shows for them. It was wonderful. I really had fun doing it. And my two brothers my dad's two brothers, one of them passed away 1 month before I was born. And the other one, Uncle Mervyn, was the head of Paramount Studios, so we were out there quite often. But Hollywood was really a fun, nice place to go to and be involved in at that time, and that was in the 50s and the 60s. It wasn't bad at all. Well, after I finished up in the elementary school, I went to the San Gabriel High School, and it was wonderful because we had tennis, we had basketball, we had football, we had a lot of different things, and it was a good school. And in my sophomore year was when my mom and dad had moved out of Alhambra into San Marino, and so I still wanted to go to San Gabriel High School, and so I would drive to school every day, no problem there at all. But I also, when I learned how to drive, Mom and Dad taught me how to drive in a big Cadillac. And then they bought me a little TR3, which was the car that I had, and I actually took it out to the not the drug strap, where we would do the racing out in the city there, and it was fun. And I mean, it wasn't nothing that was repulsive or with other vehicles. It was just fun if you did the racing. But then I became Miss Irwindale out at the racetrack, which was kind of a fun thing to do. Then when I graduated, I was accepted to USC. And the fun thing is, when my mom had moved from Georgia out to California, she actually went to UCLA, but they made fun of her because she had a wonderful Southern accent. So she left UCLA and went to USC, and that's where she met my dad, and they got married. And when they got married, they went up to San Francisco and they were watching them build the Golden Gate Bridge. It wasn't even built then. So that was a good thing. And I was at USC for well over 2 years, but my dad had a heart attack and I had to stop going to school because we couldn't afford it. In 1970, LAPD decided that they did have some females working for them, but they didn't have any women that were actually patrol officers. So we had to go through all kinds of psychological tests, physical tests, everything else before we could be accepted to go into this class and do the studying and everything. It was 9 months worth of classes and all that you had to pass everything. There were 17 women that started, and then there were only 3 of us that finished up, and I was the very first female to finish up in LAPD. 1993 in April, and in June, Jerry Carroll had an ad in the newspaper about an apprenticeship program that was going to be starting before we had the Olympics in Atlanta in 1996. So I went and interviewed for that job, and yay, I got hired to do it and start out at Calhoun High School, which was wonderful. All the great teachers, many good students, and we started an apprenticeship program where if a student, even in their junior or senior year, decided they might want to be a teacher, that I could put them in the elementary school to see if that's what they really like to do before they graduated and went to college. So it was good, and we tried a lot of different jobs, and I did that straight until 1998, and that's when, because Calhoun High School was one of the 4 original places in the state of Georgia to start apprenticeship. And then in 1998, they were spreading it to all the other schools. And I went to RISA over in Rome, and they hired me. And I had to handle 16 school systems, everything from Fannin County down through Polk County. And it was just really great with so many different schools.
Hello, I'm Michelle Taylor, Superintendent with Calhoun City Schools, and it's always great when we can recognize some of our finest with the Calhoun Police Department, and Lynn Reese is certainly someone that we need to recognize and continue to support as she does so much for our community. Lynn worked with Calhoun City Schools in the 90s for about 5 years, so I was a teacher at that time, and I remember Lynn being so positive and supportive of our work-based learning students. She worked with our high school students with the apprenticeship program, and she did so much working collaboratively with our community business and industry leaders. So she really took our program at the high school to the next level with our partners in education and with community ed. Lynn was very supportive of our CTAE program. At that time, it was the vocational program. It was called Vocational Services. So she did so much with our students. And we love Lynn. We appreciate what she continues to do for Calhoun and Gordon County. And it's so deserving to recognize her as one of the staff members at the Calhoun Police Department that goes above and beyond as an exceptional employee. So Lynn, thank you for all you've done for our schools and our community. And we know that the Calhoun Police Department is made much better because you're one of their staff members and one who continues to support our community.
Lynn came to work with us in 2016 as a part-time employee and subsequently came on full-time. She has been a great asset to the department. As I said, she started out part-time, and we knew that we would definitely benefit if we could coax her into coming on full-time once the opportunity arose, and of course she did, and has been, as I said, an asset. She is a dedicated worker. She brings a wealth of knowledge. I know you'll see in the video that she was with the Los Angeles Police Department at one time. And again, she's just a great person to be around. She's always friendly. The folks that come in from the outside, the citizens come in, always have great things to say about her, and it's just a blessing for us to have her here.
I have 2 wonderful daughters and 2 great grandsons. My oldest daughter, she is Carrie, and she lived in California for a number of years. And even when she was at USC, she was working with insurance companies. And when she graduated, they made her an executive vice president. And she lived in California and handled all of the West Coast for many years. But then they got decided that they needed to get out of California, and they built a house in Texas. And she lives in Texas, and there are 2 wonderful grandsons. Trevor, who just turned 16 now, and I was there the day after he was born in California. And then Reese Ogden, he is 14, and he loves to play baseball, basketball, and he is in school too. And he is just a great boy, and I was there the day he was born. So I just love all of them. And my daughter Holly moved back here with me. She was only 14 when we moved back. And she graduated from Calhoun High School, and she went to Berry College and just started working with Cobelco and so many other places here. And she's just wonderful. She still lives in Calhoun and still works at many of the places. And both of the daughters are absolutely wonderful. I love them so much, and I love even my son-in-law that's married to my dear Carrie, and my 2 grandsons. And I just love to show you pictures of all of them. They're great. They really are.